Newcastle has hit form at the right time of the season, and the word around the club is that this year might be the one. In the countdown to the Illawarra game, all is okay in the Knights camp. Adam Muir will play despite missing today's training with a minor foot complaint. However, the news from Wollongong isn't as good for the Steelers. Talented halfback Glenn Eyre was due to return for the Steel City clash, but doctors have ruled otherwise.
Might be a previous injury, I'm not sure, but it's just filled up a little bit with a bit of fluid and couldn't fully extend it, so it was no use playing.
With Eyre out, the Steelers will field the same team that ended Parramatta's dream run last weekend.
They'd be confident, especially playing at their home ground, but we're confident. We're playing really well over the last month and we continue on the same way, and I don't think we'll have any problems.
Illawarra agrees it faces a tough assignment. Coach Andrew Farrow, the first to concede the Knights have plenty to offer.
Well, actually, I think they're going to be harder than Parramatta. I've looked at their last couple of games and they are very awesome. Right across the park from the Johns brothers jumping around to their very strong forwards.
One forward set to get quite a reception is Wayne Richards. The Knights' workhorse returns to his former home ground.
Oh, for sure. So I don't know what I'll get. I don't know if I'll get a cheer or a boo or what will happen. So we'll just wait and see.
NBN's replay of the match, 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon.
It's been a long series and I've had a pretty good run. I've won 3 of the rounds, so it hasn't gone too bad, and I'm 38 points in front. I'm just hoping to try and win this last round here on Sunday.
Newcastle Civic Precinct Group have stepped up pressure on the Department of Community Services by publicly calling for the Hunter Mission Centre to be shifted. The centre is in an old police station at the western end of Hunter Street and provides shelter, food and clothing to intoxicated people.
I think we need to be where the intoxicated persons are, because there is no other service in Newcastle that provides this service for intoxicated people.
Shop owners have reported instances of abuse, harassment and even dangerous behaviour.
What we're saying is the people to whom that service is provided create in themselves certain social problems, and we suggest that a more likely location ought to be one that's less congested with traffic and people.
The mission acknowledged the business community's concerns, however question the suitability of any other location.
If this is inappropriate, if intoxicated homeless persons should not be in this location, where is the appropriate location? Where should they be?
The Department of Community Services says they are aware of the problem and are endeavouring to move the mission as soon as possible. Antonia Kidman, NBN News.
It was a traumatic ending to a 3-month dream holiday for the Bromhams. The Wagga couple was overnighting at the Pacific Gardens caravan park near Raymond Terrace when they were attacked at around 9:30 last night. When the couple answered a knock at the door, they were met by a man holding what they thought was a gun. He forced his way in and threw them to the floor. Swearing and demanding money, the attacker repeatedly kicked Mr. Bromham in the head and body. His wife tried to fight him off, demonstrating how she kept at him until he stopped. The pair eventually forced the man out of the caravan, Mrs. Bromham falling over in the scuffle.
It was the lady's screams that drew my attention, and both my husband and I came running down, and by this stage we'd seen him running through the park.
Empty-handed, the attacker ran off along the Pacific Highway. He was caught soon after by police. A 35-year-old Wickham man appeared at Maitland Local Court today, charged with aggravated robbery and assault offences. He was refused bail and will reappear on August 18. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News. A month-long strike at the Hunter Valley No. 1 coal mine ground ended 3 weeks ago, with the miners' union and Rio Tinto agreeing to negotiate. But the cooling-off period ordered by the Industrial Relations Commission has failed to resolve the debate about collective bargaining. Today, the mining union's president accused Rio Tinto of jeopardising a resolution, claiming management is reluctant to extend the negotiating period.
They're being very provocative. They're saying that they want to start using management on union jobs, and I don't think that there's any prospect of having a settlement if they continue to be that provocative.
Mr. Maitland says they have no option but to consider industrial action, blaming the mine's unprofitability on management.
The workforce is the same workforce that was employed there 3 years ago. The equipment is basically the same, the mine is the same, but management has changed, and that's the reason why we have an unprofitable mine.
No one from Rio Tinto was available for comment today. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
By far the biggest of the three developments is the $20 million hotel extensions to the Western Suburbs Leagues Club. The project will add 83 rooms to the existing 57 the club already boasts. The council believes it's a sign the Hunter economy is turning the corner.
This recovery here is growth, is new development, private sector development, not insurance money, redeveloping jobs. So I think there's a bigger factor going on here.
On a much smaller scale than the Leagues Club project, Council also gave the green light for the $3 million Pacific Apartments on this site in the inner city. However, the approval drawing the most flack is the $3.6 million Honeysuckle Cove project to create a marina where Wharf Road now sits. Greens councillor Margaret Henry claims Council failed to take account of the traffic problems it would cause. However, the Honeysuckle Corporation points out that it's an issue already dealt with.
Wharf Road, which was approved some time ago, is now in its final stages of the contract. Those works will be such that the permanent traffic route of the new Wharf Road will occur prior to Christmas.
But that cove is a key element in the design of the civic honeysuckle area.
The cove is expected to be completed by January 1999. Phil Hind, NBN News.
Having a baby is supposed to be a wonderful and fulfilling experience for a couple, but for Sue and Peter Smith it was an horrendous ordeal that has left them emotionally and psychologically scarred.
It's a wondrous thing, birth. I mean, it's as I say, it's supposed to be a happy sort of occasion, but this thing was just a nightmare.
Their son Dylan is now 2.5, and while his parents love him without reservation, Sue will always remember what she went through delivering him at Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital in November 1994. Dylan was born within 17 minutes of Sue receiving a spinal block to take away the pain of a caesarean birth. But as a doctor was stitching her stomach, the pain relief wore off.
It's like someone stabbing you over and over and over.
Sue says she pleaded for a general anaesthetic, but all she was given was a bowl to throw up in.
It just continues. I mean, 20, 30 minutes of it, and they did nothing. I mean, I'm yelling at them and I'm, throwing up and they just, nothing.
Sue and Peter were to take on John Hunter Hospital in court today, seeking the maximum compensation for pain and suffering of $250,000. However, the Hunter Area Health Service settled out of court. While the Smiths can't reveal how much they agreed to, they say no amount of money can compensate for what they've gone through. Sue still can't face the prospect of having another baby.
If you could hand me one now, I'd take it, but you can have the childbirth. No, it's not for me.
With bands and banners blazing, miners and their families marched through Singleton today to celebrate the strength of solidarity. After more than 2 months, the bitter dispute between mining giant Rio Tinto and workers at its Hunter Valley No. 1 mine has become a grassroots campaign.
Behind this dispute, there is in fact a significant part of the community, and they're dealing with unions which are really community-based.
Quiet but confident, the rally of 600 drew ACTU Secretary Bill Kelty and miners from as far afield as Gunnedah, ever ready to fight for the collective rights of workers across the nation.
It's a choice now between making social progress and serfdom.
We're being attacked from all sorts of different angles by governments and big coal owners, and we need to stand up for ourselves and be counted.
This is really a fight about and for some essential old-fashioned values.
But while unions battle to get back to basics, multinationals such as Rio Tinto accuse them of being archaic and dragging coal production down.
What the problem is that fellow at Hunter No. 1, the manager, it won't listen.
Determined never to give in, marchers say the ball is in the company's court.
Just come to the party just so it can all be over and everybody can get back to a normal life.
Simone Cobb, NBN News.
Newcastle jumped into equal third position on the ARL ladder after yesterday's win over the Gold Coast, and while they're assured of a berth in the finals, the Chargers' chances are slipping.
You know, the odds are certainly getting stacked against us. The more games we lose. That's the first time this year we've lost 3 in a row, and it doesn't get any easier.
The Gold Coast coach isn't wrong. The Chargers face Manly and Illawarra in the final 2 rounds, knowing their defence will have to improve if they're to make the finals.
Our defence over the last few weeks has been terrible, and if we're going to make the finals, we've got to be up to scratch with our defence.
It was a tune echoed in the Knights camp. The win pushed Newcastle into joint third place with Norths, and with both sides determined to clinch the double chance in the semis, that prized place may come down to for and against. Yesterday, Newcastle won by 26, although everyone agrees the margin could have been even bigger if the Knights held their intensity for the entire game.
Yeah, imagine if we played for 80 minutes, we'd be bamboozling sides. We know we can score a try. We just got to pick our defence up.
Newcastle coach Malcolm Reilly was critical also of some of the Knights' attack.
We squandered a lot of opportunities out there and took some bad options at times with the ball in our hands and really never subjected them to the amount of pressure we should have done.
And the injury front isn't too bad for either side. The Chargers' Jamie Driscoll has an injured knee, while the Knights all fared well, with the exception of Matthew Gidley. He left reserve grade with ankle damage, but has been cleared of broken bones. Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
As far as Newcastle is concerned, I think the Knights are very well set up to play the game next year as a club, and I would believe that the Knights would be very strong in any mergers, talks or decisions that may have to take place in Newcastle.
It's been confusion that Group 21 could have done without and all because of an unregistered player oversight earlier in the year. Officials have almost agreed on an outcome. All first and reserve grade finals will be replayed. However, Group 21 wants the series to start this weekend. Aberdeen is pushing for kick-off on Sunday week. A special general meeting at 7 o'clock tonight will focus on the debate. Despite the imminent result, the confusion has come at a cost both on and off the field. If Denman misses the grand final, its financial loss may be about $16,000, while Singleton's reserve grade side has already forfeited its match against Aberdeen due to lack of football.
People who will be carrying symbols to the sacred space. We thank God.
I am happy, whatever my next person.
That was a lovely possible to be his friend. Interrupted, if I might say, by only being able to come from time to time on holidays, but always.
The celebrations for Australia's win in the Under-23 World Championships have been drowned out by alarm bells in the Falcons camp. 3 of their players were part of that historic victory, with Ben Pepper, Scott McGregor and Ben Melmoth on top of club shopping lists around the country. But the Falcons could still get to see their baby boomers grow up, with the launch of a supporters club which hopes to raise $100,000 in its first year.
All codes in Newcastle have struggled to try and retain their extremely talented players.
We've certainly made offers to all 3 of them. We've made our intentions very clear that we wish to retain all 3 of them. They all tell us that they want to stay in Newcastle ideally, and that they would all like to play together and they would all like to play for the Falcons.
The Centre Circle Club will operate separately from the Falcons, and it will choose which players the money will be spent on. Meanwhile, the countdown has started for the Newcastle Entertainment Centre as it tries to meet new National Basketball League standards. Every venue must seat 5,000 people, 800 more than the NEC, and it must also have air conditioning by the start of the summer season in 1998.
We've been involved in the process over the last 6 months now, very heavily involved with government discussions which have been led on our behalf by Richard Face, and we've been seeking government funding for approximately $2.4 million.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Animals are out, acrobats are in. Juggling, balancing and leaping from top heights, the Great China Circus is setting a trend worldwide.
Circuses around the world are gradually deciding to eliminate animals from the circus just because of public response.
China is showcasing the best it has to offer, with more than 100 of the country's top performers assembling under the one banner. At the Australian launch in Newcastle today, the promoters promised a program of 20 acts and a 10-piece band. It's the first time the Chinese government has permitted such a tour, and organisers are jumping on the diplomatic bandwagon.
Newcastle being an industrial and mining town, we try to act as a bridge later on with also the mining town and industry of China.
The 14-week tour begins in December. Vanessa Spark, NBN News.
A second bite of the cherry for Aberdeen, but the early signs weren't good. Muswellbrook crossed after only 1 minute, but when the Rams' enthusiasm in defence caught the eye of the referee, the Tigers kicked back to trail by 2. The boot came into play again soon after, a chip in general play helping Aberdeen find its first try and a 6-4 lead. A try apiece before the break took the half-time score to 10-all, both sides making the most of sloppy marker defence. The locals hit top gear early in the second half. Aberdeen had the visitors stretched to the limit and Muswellbrook crumbled before another stretching effort at the other end of the park earned an identical result. 14-all, Muswellbrook then had this for a 16-14 victory and a berth in the grand final.
The Newcastle wool sales have entered a new era, closing its doors after 44 years at the Wool Exchange. Its new venue, the Newcastle Workers Club, was today officially opened by the Minister for Racing and Gaming, Richard Face. With traders buying for Japan, Italy and Korea, only the best wool packed into 32,000 bales from the state's north and west was up for bid.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
A reduction in stockpiles and a growing demand overseas means this year's wool is averaging $710 a bale.
Although there will be some discounts for the seed and the shiv, and that's only a seasonal aspect, the rest of the wool, it is a magnificent wool clip.
It's not the only good news for the industry. Experts say the 30% of Australian wool already processed at home could possibly triple over the next 5 years.
And I think with pollution controls being exercised in Europe and Japan and Korea, they're looking to relocate their early stage processing in Australia, and it's worked very well for our local industry.
But if the El Nino forecast eventuates, buyers say it could have a devastating effect on the Australian wool growers and the industry.
We can't survive in this industry unless the wool grower survives. So we're very, very concerned about this potential crippling drought that we hope never eventuates.
Anna Corrin, NBN News.